Wow. Thank you very much for that, Christopher. It's a wonderful song for what we're talking about today, and I'll get to that song in just a moment. But for those people who are catching up with us, we're talking about creativity for the whole month, and we're using this extraordinary little book, The Creative Life, 7 Keys to Your Inner Genius by Eric Butterworth. And every time I read the next chapter's headlines, I get completely sidetracked. And actually, I noticed that's the nature of headlines, isn't it? You hear a headline and next thing mind goes with it, wherever it's going. Like, for example, if I said to you this morning, hey, have you heard what's happened to Reverend Kim Kaiser? Well, I haven't either, because nothing's happened to him. But to just illustrate that moment when mind picks up and goes, look up, pay attention, something's happening. And that's what I got when I looked at the title. We're in the creation story at the part where God said, and let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures. And I thought, I know what that's about. Mind. Phew. I looked up the definition for the word swarm. One of the definitions is an aggregation of people or animals in turmoil, moving in mass. And I thought for today, think about it this way. A swarm is an aggregation, a clump of thoughts and responses in turmoil. And they're moving in a direction you don't necessarily want to go with them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, me too. Like last week, Chris came to my house so we could rehearse this wonderful song. And he knocked on the door. He came through the side door and said, well, what's going on outside? There's emergency vehicles and there's lights and there's all sorts of people and personnel. And then I noticed I was in peace before the news. Not in peace after the news. Now my mind is set on orange alert. What has changed? My mind. And it occurred to me that until the mind changes, until the mind says something has happened, nothing ever happens. Chris is going to sing another great song in the offering. You'll recognize the song, and part of the lyrics say, the secret of time is that time isn't really real. So there you have before and after, really. But right now, am I okay? It's when I think something has happened. That's when thought comes up, it rises up, teeming with meaning and invitation. Feel this, fear that, believe this, you should pay attention, you're going to die. When in fact nothing has happened and it continues to not happen. I was remembering a very intense, invasive medical procedure I had. I was talking to a friend of mine about it and sharing with her the experience of it and how afraid I was of it, And what I do when I'm afraid of it, I talk a lot. Like swarms of words, like an idiot, And then what I do to try to cover up my discomfort and to cover up the swarms and my fear is then I go to humor. And because there's such a swarm of words taking place, I choose inappropriate humor. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's out of control. And I just remember the physician looking at me going, we've got to get this crazy person out of here. And I remember at the time, because, it carried on. The swarming carries on. The talking carries on. And then even in the procedure, even in the discomfort, I remember myself having the presence of mind to ask, but are you okay? Yes, I got that. Even during the procedure, even during the terror, even during the pain, because there's before and after, and the reaching for the after and dreading the before, but none of it is real right in the moment, rather well. You see, I don't know if you noticed that biblical verse that is referring to that point in creation. It says, and then God said, let there be swarms of swarms, not just one swarm. A swarm of swarms. Other translations say teeming. And it's a beautiful reference to mind's ability to think infinitely. The capacity to go on and on and on. It's never finished. And where does all this swarming take place? In the ocean, which is a symbol of something deep, still, peaceful, ever present, undisturbed. Which at the same time that it is all of that, it contains swarming things. It's not either or. Try to stop it. Cannot stop it. Cannot be stopped. Cannot stop the swarming. You would have to go into denial and say it doesn't exist. So what are you going to do when a swarm appears? One suggestion is don't fight it. Don't fight it in whatever form. Don't fight what is happening. Instead, look for the place where you are okay at the same time as it's swarming, because the swarming will not stop, and neither will the ocean. If I focus on the swarm, I forget the ocean is there. Like that song Chris sang this morning. Originally a love song, but our song today, because it's saying, maybe you're still there. Ocean. I can feel you all around me. It's in my memory. It's clear. Deep in the stillness, I can hear your voice. Oh, the stillness, that's where we go to. That's the ocean. What are you going to do when your mind is a swarm? The second suggestion is just that. Go to the ocean and talk into the silence of your own mind, and something will happen. That's our way. It's what our founder instructed us to do. Ernest Holmes, in Ideas of Power, Volume 3. It's available in our bookstore and in our library. He writes this. Just begin to think of yourself, first of all, as one in God. Make it simple and say something like this to yourself. God is all there is. You can talk to God, he says, and something will answer you. We say God is a presence full of warmth and color and light and awareness and alive and awake. So then say into the silence of your own mind, I am one with this. That's our way to remember the ocean and to go to it. I was in South Africa visiting my mother several years ago, and I was flying back late that night. The flight was at 11 p.m., and I was going to meet Chris in Hong Kong, where we would get together and fly to Bali early to set up for the 40 or 50 people that we were going to meet there and take on an extraordinary journey. It's all very well planned, especially the part where I was going to take my car and drop it off at the rental agency 5 minutes before 10, just before it closed. The office closed. And I did that. It went very well. Then I got to the counter for the airline, and there was nothing there. The flight left at 11 a.m.